Long before the first man appeared, the earth was already inhabited. It seemed that something had prepared an elegant design, fine-tuned for life to flourish. It took almost 13 billion years and many mutations and adaptations for us to begin to walk the planet. Amazed by nature around them and especially above them, our ancestors soon began to try to understand the issues that still seem so relevant today. Who am I? Where do I come from? Where am I going? What am I doing here? Is there anything beyond what my eyes can see? We have a natural inclination to inquire, to explore, to ask. Countless attempts have been made to obtain the answers from north to south, in the Far East and the vast West. But the knowledge acquired soon became synonymous with power, and soon was disputed through violent struggles and countless wars. It was not long before the knowledge was fragmented and each piece was treated as the only one, often hidden from the public. Men have divided the knowledge between what has been called religion, philosophy, and science. Religious accuse scientists of being possessed. Scientists accuse philosophers of being naive. Philosophers accuse religious of being irrational. And this dispute is still going on. From time to time, beings who seemed to be ahead of their time emerged at different points of the globe in an attempt to appease these three great strands of knowledge. A recent proposal was initiated by Professor Hippolyte Denisard-Rivail. At that time, the theatres and concert halls of Europe and America were busy with performances where supposedly tables were moved by the spirits of deceased people. Rivail realised that something significant could be happening there. Is it possible to interview people already dead? If it were something done on a large scale, with scientific rigour and noble purpose, would open unprecedented learning fields for men on Earth. At first, skeptical of this possibility, Rivail had the idea of asking the same questions for several mediums, the people who claim to channel the spirits. Such mediums could not know each other, not live nearby, or understand the purpose of the research. This process would be legitimated by the fact that the letters with the questions at that time took weeks, even months, to be carried between different countries. Is there life after death? Can we be born again on Earth? Is it possible to communicate with those who have died? Why is there evil, inequality? What will life be like in the future? How to achieve happiness as an individual and as a society? What will the world be like when we know that we are both material and spiritual beings? These and many other questions were gathered in the Spiritst book, which will be explored in this series. Such knowledge is intended for free thinkers, since it does not propose exclusivity or hierarchy. It has neither leaders nor dogmas, a new paradigm that evolves and is updated along with the scientific discoveries and the philosophical propositions, and does not leave aside the rational search for the much desired reconnection with the Creator. And you, what do you think of this? Our journey is just beginning. Do not forget to check the description of the video for more research material. Stay tuned for the coming episodes. By 1850, in the United States and Europe, the phenomenon of table turning had become very popular, crowding concert halls with hundreds of spectators who wanted to see such freely flying objects up close. It was also common in private gatherings within family homes. Hippolyte Léon Denisard-Rivail, a renowned French educator, initially did not pay attention to such events. Rivail considered them to be possible outcomes of some unconsciously generated physical phenomenon by the participants themselves, thus being irrelevant. But after hearing from a friend who considered himself a serious person, that the objects answered questions, he became interested because he saw in this detail something worthy of research.
I will only believe when I see this for myself, and when I am proved that the table has brains to think and nerves to feel.
After attending several of these meetings and reviewing,
I don't ever slow up, no I don't take shit. I got no love for the fakeness. If you wanna play tough and wanna hate this, I'll always show up. I don't ever slow up, no I don't take shit. I got no love for the fakeness. If you wanna play tough and wanna hate this, I'll always show up and make a statement. I don't ever slow up, no I don't take shit. I got no love for the fakeness. If you wanna play tough and wanna hate this, I'll always show up and make a statement.
Everything I do so instinctive and so passionate. Every word I move so descriptive like an adjective. I got a vendetta against people who patented being negative when you should be getting after it. I got facts over tracks, this and that. Spitting slow, spitting fast. I could roast, I could gas. Think I'm okay at last, but I don't know if that can erase all the past. And the pettiness, a reflection of the emptiness. Hilarious, you think you're worth my time, you're delirious. Mysterious, because you hide behind a fake exterior. Inferior, you know I'll always be a bit superior. Get off of me, this ain't no humble brag. I want you to hear words, you can say them back. I want you to feel free from the chains at last, and to believe in what you got, it was built to last, yeah.
Now that I've been put through hell, I never got anyone's help. I had to do it all myself.
I don't ever slow up, no I don't take shit. I got no love for the fakeness. If you wanna play tough and wanna hate this, I'll always show up and make a statement. I don't ever slow up, no I don't take shit. I got no love for the fakeness. If you wanna play tough and wanna hate this, I'll always show up and make a statement.
Gonna learn the consequence of being incompetent. Mental health is confidence, dreams and some honestness. I'm not here to save the day, that's for you to take away. I could play a million mind games, but instead I say something not illogical, something that is topical. Rub it on and watch it go, make yourself unstoppable. Dreams are irresponsible, but they're always possible. If you just believe, you could be so remarkable.
Thoughts in my head, a collage and they spread. I'll be great one day, going off of my meds. No I'm not giving up, no I'm not giving in. I will make it to the top, taking off in the wind. I gotta make it, I'm saving every day to taste it. I'm patient, but my mind, it can hardly take it. I'm chasing a dream that I've had for several ages. A vacant, modern kingdom for the taking.
Now that I've been put through hell, I never got anyone's help. I had to do it all myself.
I don't ever slow up, no I don't take shit. I got no love for the fakeness. If you wanna play tough and wanna hate this, I'll always show up and make a statement. I don't ever slow up, no I don't take shit. I got no love for the fakeness. If you wanna play tough and wanna hate this, I'll always show up and make a statement. I don't ever slow up, no I don't take shit. I got no love for the fakeness. If you wanna play tough and wanna hate this, I'll always show up.
For new things, we need new words. Clarity of speech is required to avoid confusion that arises from the fact that there are more than one meaning for the same word. Often the word Spiritism is confused with the word spiritualism, even in a Google search. But although spiritualism also opposes materialism, only Spiritism studies the relations of the material world with the spirits and the moral and ethical consequences that follows. In other words, while spiritualism can be seen as the multiplicity of pieces and contraptions sparingly found in the most diverse religious and philosophical traditions, Spiritism uses reason and science, uniting these pieces and assembling a ship capable of exploring the limits of the unknown. How? We will learn the methodology used by Kardec in the next study. Imagine if you could put together the definitive dream team, including even stars from the past, all in the best possible shape. Oh, and most importantly, under the best coach ever. It was a team like this that Kardec had at his disposal to organize the Spiritist teachings. Apostles, visionary scientists, and great philosophers working together on the same project, and with the advantage that they are all in the spiritual world, that is, with their intellectual and moral resources maximized. Away from earthly passions and led by Jesus, this team of superior spirits instructed Kardec not to waste time on mysticisms and controversies, focusing his efforts entirely on what would constitute the basis of a more harmonious and happy civilization, the transforming moral content of the Gospel.
For humankind in particular, this code is a rule of conduct embracing all circumstances of private and public life. The principle for all social relations founded on strictest justice. It is finally, and above all, the infallible path to the happiness to come, a corner of the veil lifted regarding the future life. It is this part that is the sole object of this endeavor.
For more studies and research material, go to www.spiritistacademy.com. To think about the nature of God, first of all, we need to ask ourselves, where can we find something that proves its existence?
In an axiom you apply to all your sciences, there is no effect without a cause.
If you would search for the cause of whatever is not the work of human beings, then reason will answer your question.
To believe in God, we need only to behold the works of creation. The universe exists, therefore it must have a cause. To doubt God's existence would be to deny that every effect has a cause, and to believe that something could have resulted from nothingness.
Thus, for a significant change in human understanding of God, Kardec realized that he should first of all ask the appropriate question.
What is God?
Yes, because when you ask who, someone is already assumed, a person. When we switch to what, a broader perspective is adopted. To this question, what is God, the spirits answered,
God is the supreme intelligence, the first cause of all things.
God is not, as we imagined until then, an old man with a white beard sitting on a golden throne amid clouds. Even less, he is not the sum of everything that exists in the universe, an amorphous and abstract energy. Such conceptions originate in the fact that we, the creatures, imagined the Creator from our still incipient capabilities, something natural in the course of our spiritual evolution. The definition given by the spirits does not end the matter. It gives us a new beginning to think about God. In fact, a complete understanding of the divine nature is still far from our linguistic and cognitive possibilities.
Could we say that God is the infinite?
That would be an incomplete definition.
Human speech is too impoverished and insufficient to define that which transcends human intelligence.
Will they ever be able to fathom the mystery of the divinity?
When their spirits are no longer eclipsed by matter,
And when they have finally purified themselves enough to be able to approach God,
then they will see and comprehend God.
Progressively, through the spiritual evolution resulting from the successive lives, each person acquires intellectual moral resources to approach the knowledge of the divine nature. In previous studies, we reflected on how God's existence is justified by logic and history. We also conceptualized the idea of God from a Spiritist perspective. Given the current evolutionary stage of humanity, we can indirectly approach a greater understanding of God, and this is done through the study of His attributes. God is eternal. If God had had a beginning, then either God would have had to have sprung from nothing, or would have had to have been created by a being that existed previously. Reasoning in this way, we arrive little by little at the idea of eternity and the infinite. God is immutable. If God was subject to change, then the laws that govern the universe would have no stability. God is immaterial. This means that God's nature differs from everything we call matter. Otherwise, God would not be immutable, but would be subject to the transformations of matter. God is one. If there were several gods, then there would be no unity of design or power in the organization of the universe. God is all-powerful. God is all-powerful because God is one. If God were not powerful above all else, it would mean that there was something more powerful, or at least as powerful. It would mean that God might not have created all things, and those that God did not create would have had to have been the work of some other God. God is supremely just and good. The providential wisdom in the divine laws is revealed in the smallest things as well as in the largest, and this wisdom makes it impossible for us to doubt either God's justice or goodness. Such is the base upon which the universal edifice reposes. It is the beacon light whose rays illuminate the entire universe, and which alone can guide man in the search for truth. Can humans know the origin of things, the mysteries of the universe? At the right time. The veil is lifted as they become more and more purified. But in order to understand certain things, they need faculties they do not yet have. The more humans are allowed to grasp such mysteries, the more they should admire the power and wisdom of the Creator. However, whether through pride or through weakness, their own minds often render them victims of illusion, and they pile theory upon theory. Every day they see how many errors they have mistaken for truths, and how many truths they have dismissed as errors. These realizations are further blows to their pride. Human senses, as well as their intellect, are still limited to understanding the totality of nature. According to the Spiritist view, scientific evolution must go hand in hand with moral development. How may we define matter? Matter is the tie that enchains spirit. It is the instrument that spirit uses and upon which it simultaneously exerts its action. What is spirit? The intelligent principle of the universe. So, are there two general elements in the universe, matter and spirit? Yes, and over everything is God, the creator and author of all. These three elements comprise the principle of all that exists. They are the universal trinity. What is spirit's innermost nature? It is not easy to explain spirit in your language. For you, it is nothing because it is not something palpable. Nevertheless, for us, it is something. You must realize that nothing means nothing and nothing does not exist. However, to the element of matter must be added the universal fluid, which plays an intermediary role between spirit and matter per se, since matter is too dense for spirit to act upon it directly. Above spirit and matter, we see an intelligence dominating and governing all others, and it differs from them due to its essential attributes. It is this supreme intelligence that we call God. At first glance, nothing seems so profoundly varied, so essentially distinct as the diverse substances that comprise the world. So, does matter consist of one or many elements? One single primitive element. The bodies you regard as simple are not true elements, but rather transformations of the one primitive matter. Where do the different properties of matter come from? From the modifications that the elementary molecules undergo as a result of their combining under certain conditions. Do molecules have a constant or variable form? Constant for the primitive elementary molecules, but variable for the secondary ones, which are only aggregations of the former. However, what you term a molecule is still very far from being the elementary molecule. As has already been demonstrated, the universal cosmic fluid is the primitive elementary matter, whose modifications and transformations comprise the innumerable variety of bodies found in nature. As the universal elementary principle, it offers two distinct states: etherization or imponderability, which may be considered the normal primitive state, and materialization or ponderability, which is in a certain way only consecutive to the former. The intermediary point is the transformation of the fluid into tangible matter. However, even then, there is not a brusque transition, because our imponderable fluids may be regarded as a halfway phase between the two states. Each of these two states necessarily gives rise to special phenomena. To the latter belong those of the visible world, and to the former those of the invisible world. Some, called material phenomena, are within the jurisdiction of science per se. The others, qualified as spirit or psychic phenomena because they are most specially connected with the existence of spirits, fall within the attributions of Spiritism. Is universal space infinite or limited? Infinite. If it had limits, what would be beyond them? Suppose we were to imagine a limit to space. No matter how far out our thought may place it, reason tells us that there must still be something beyond it, and so on and so forth to infinity. Even if there were only an absolute void beyond that limit, there would still be space, because what appears to you to be a void is actually occupied by matter that cannot be detected by your senses or instruments. From the divine omnipotence follows the consequent omnipresence of God, which leads us to the impossibility of conceiving any really empty place in the universe. In the beginning, all was chaos. The elements were all jumbled together. Little by little, each thing settled into its proper place. Then, living beings appropriate for that state of the globe appeared. The Earth already contained their prototypes, which had been waiting for the favourable moment in order to develop, like a chrysalis or a seed, until the proper time for each species to appear. Then, the beings of each species came together and reproduced. These organic elements were in a, so to speak, fluidic state in space, amongst the spirits or on other planets, waiting for the creation of the Earth in order to start a new existence on that new globe. The human species were among the organic elements on the terrestrial globe, and it came forth at just the right time. This is the basis for the statement that humans were formed from the dust of the earth. Is God's glory diminished by the fact that living beings were formed out of chaos by the forces of nature? Far from it. Instead, this fact corresponds better to the idea that God wields divine power over all the infinite worlds by using eternal laws. The physical and moral differences that distinguish the Earth's various races come from climate, lifestyles, and habits. Imagine if two siblings from the same mother were each raised differently and far apart. They would show no moral resemblance to each other. Humankind first appeared at various points on the globe at different periods, which is another cause of human race diversity. Later, humankind spread throughout the different climatic zones, and new types arose in the course of interbreeding between different ethnicities. Under God, all human beings are brothers and sisters, animated by a spirit and having the same goal. All the globes spinning through space are inhabited, and contrary to what Earthlings believe, they themselves are far from being first in intelligence goodness, and perfection. God has populated all worlds with living beings, all working toward the final objective of providence. To believe that living beings are limited only to their own particular spot in the universe is to doubt the wisdom of God. However, God has never made anything without a purpose, and must have intended these worlds to fulfill a more important role than simply entertaining our eyes. Moreover, there is nothing in the Earth's position, size, or composition that could reasonably support the notion that, to the exclusion of many thousands of similar worlds, it alone is privileged with being inhabited. As the physical composition of all the various worlds is not the same, the beings inhabiting them have a different physical organization. Just as on Earth, fish are made for living in the water and birds for living in the air. If we had never seen fish, we would not understand how certain beings could live in water. The existence of beings on the various worlds depends on the appropriate environmental conditions in which they are intended to live. The same applies to other worlds, which no doubt contain elements unknown to us. What are the necessary elements for life to happen? What is similar and what is different across the kingdoms of life? Some answers can be found by studying the vital principle, so let's get started. As we studied earlier, all universal matter originates in the organization of the primitive particles found in the universal cosmic fluid. Such particles form, through the law of attraction, from the simplest inorganic bodies to complex organic beings, such as plants, animals, and finally, the human being. The matter of organic beings is animalized, a process caused by its union with the vital principle. The vital principle is a specific organization of the universal fluid itself. Metaphorically speaking, it is the energy that is stored inside the battery that makes a mechanism work. Its quantity and quality vary according to the complexity of the organism. It is modified to meet the needs of each species. New functionalities are being added, such as instinct in the case of animals, and intelligence in the case of humans. When this vitality runs out naturally, or when an important organ loses its ability to absorb and transmit to its neighboring organs, physical death occurs. The inert matter decomposes and is used to form other beings. The vital principle returns to the vital mass, and the spirit follows its evolutionary journey. Spirits are the intelligent beings of creation. So, you are a spirit. We are spirits. Let's explore together our origin and nature. We are God's work, and we were formed from the intelligent element of the universe, but the exact process of our creation is still a mystery. Each spirit was created individually and evolves through the kingdoms of nature, where it learns to master instinct, attains intelligence, and from it, free will. The spirit is surrounded by a substance that we call perispirit. Peri from the Greek meaning around. The spirit gets its perispirit from each globe's own universal fluid. In passing from one world to another, spirits change their envelope just as you change your clothes. Spirits are everywhere. There are even some who are constantly at your side, observing and acting upon you without you being aware of it. This is because spirits are one of the powers of nature and one of the instruments that God uses for fulfilling the providential designs. All of us, the spirits, are God's creations, and we had exactly the same beginning. We were created simple and ignorant. Some of us were created more recently, others started their journey countless millennia ago. Spirits are of different orders, according to their individual degree of self-purification. These degrees are unlimited because there is no line of demarcation that acts as a barrier between each order. For demonstration purposes, however, if we consider their general characteristics, we can reduce them to 3 main orders and some subdivisions. In the third order are those who are toward the bottom of the scale, the imperfect spirits. These are characterized by ignorance, pride, selfishness, and all the evil passions that delay their advancement. They have an intuition of God, but they do not comprehend God. Not all are essentially evil, however. Some are more frivolous, thoughtless, and malicious than downright wicked. Some do neither good nor evil, but the simple fact that they do no good reveals them to be imperfect. Their knowledge about the things of the spirit world is limited, and the little they do know is confused with the ideas and prejudices of corporeal life. In the second are those who have reached the middle of the scale. Their main concern is the desire to do the good. Some possess scientific knowledge, while others display wisdom and benevolence. The more highly evolved ones combine knowledge with moral qualities. As spirits, they encourage good thoughts in people and dissuade them from the path of evil. They also watch over the lives of those who have made themselves worthy, and they neutralize the influence of imperfect spirits on those who do not yield to them. When incarnate, they are good and benevolent toward others. They do good for its own sake, and they neither allow themselves to be led by pride, selfishness, or ambition, nor do they display hatred, bitterness, envy, or jealousy. In the first order, we may put those who have already reached perfection, the pure spirits. These spirits have ascended through all the degrees of the hierarchy and have freed themselves from all the impurities of matter. Having reached the highest perfection possible for created beings, they have no more trials or expiations to endure. Moreover, because they are no longer subject to reincarnation in perishable bodies, they live eternally in the bosom of God. But such bliss is not a monotonous idleness lived in perpetual contemplation. They are the messengers and ministers of God whose orders they carry out to maintain universal harmony. They assist humans in their distress and inspire them to do good or to expiate the wrongs that keep them from supreme bliss. For more studies and research material, go to www.spiritistacademy.com.